area. Another cultural thing that we have is we like to cook and we like to heat our foods, don't we? And that quite simply destroys beneficial natural digestive enzymes. Preservatives and artificial ingredients, of course, are another factor that we cannot deny. This is a big one right here, chemical herbicides and pesticides. Another one, of course, is our modern processing of foods. Not just the fact that we cook them, but that we use microwaving or radiation. Our modern lifestyles has us eating on the go more and more. The advent, especially recently, of GMO, which are genetically modified organisms, GMO types of foods, as well as fast foods, all lead to a diminished food supply. And in us having this diminished food supply, it isn't a question of whether it's going to be a problem, but more so when it's going to be a problem, and is it going to express itself in a myriad of issues that detract from your health and vitality. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if, it's just when. And typically it happens at the older years, right? But what many people are finding is through solid, smart, individualized nutrition, what they can do is that they can avoid some of those, quote, things that just happen to you as you get older, and actually enjoy a healthy and vital lifestyle throughout their entire life cycle. And is that of interest to you? Of course,
Absolutely.
Otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more. But first what I want to do is, oh, by the way, I wanted to give you a couple of handouts. Here's a handout on the books that we just covered, so
Great.
you can learn more information about that.
Great.
And then I also have handouts about why we need to supplement our food. And we can go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. So now that we, of course, can understand the value and the need, the necessity for nutritionally supplementing our food, we run into a couple of problems. And the problem is that you are different from everyone else. Although we are somewhat similar, I'm going to be showing you several different factors that create a uniqueness among yourself that is not in any other person. So let's go ahead and take a look at those next. And so if we look at this chart right here, you'll see that yes, indeed, because of these many different factors, your nutritional needs are going to vary from one person to the next. The first one to take a look at, of course, is the environment, the type of air that you breathe, the metropolitan or the rural area you live in, your water supply, where you get your water from. And I'm not just talking about drinking water, I'm talking about the water you shower with, because even in a shower we can absorb up to, I forget how many ounces, but it's a lot of water that we actually absorb through our skin. And of course the quality of our food. Those are going to be different from person to person. Each person eats differently, right? So these are just one of the factors right here that make it different from you than another person. The other thing, of course, has to do with your lifestyle. Your lifestyle not only affects your dietary intake, but the type of stress that you have, the type of stress in your home and in your work. These things can have an additional demand on your body, which, if it is nutritionally supplemented, can result in it not having any degrading effect on you. Product sensitivities, of course, are different from person to person. When we are taking a look at product sensitivities, why is it that one person can eat cheese, but another person simply cannot eat cheese? It's not that cheese is a bad food, right?
Right.
It's simply that that person has a sensitivity to it, and of course, this varies from person to person. Your genetic predisposition, of course, is a factor in how well you withstand the ravages of time, if you will, how well your body stands up to the environment. So this is an issue. Of course, your dietary intake is going to be different from everyone else. Your body weight has a large amount to do with how much stuff you should be taking. Your metabolic rate is another issue. That is the rate at which you burn fuel, and that has a difference on what is right for you. And as Dr. D'Adamo pointed out in his book, that your blood type of course, is a significant factor in the foods and food supplements that are right for you. And of course, your age is going to have an effect on your current level of vitality and thereby what it is exactly that you need. And of course, sex, male to female, makes a difference as well. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the screening process next. And so first what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of coaching, if I could, around the next process, which is to have the client watch the DVD called Smart Decisions. And the purpose for that is to provide an overview in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. This is a 12-minute long DVD, I believe. And in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, it has me on there providing an overview of what the testing is about and why it's valuable. And then a very important chapter, Chapter 3, where Dr. Cheryl Townsley is talking about the need for a long-term approach as a natural and very solid way of reducing what she calls adrenal stress. And as we reduce adrenal stress, that's when our body starts responding in a more healthful and vital fashion. And so during this time, while the client is watching the DVD, it's an opportunity for you, after having given this presentation where I just blah, 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 right? It's an opportunity for you to take a little bit of a break, have them watch the DVD, and while they're watching the DVD, you take a break. And in that moment, handle some paperwork or whatever it is that you find is best for you, or you may simply want to watch the DVD with them. And in the third step of this, actually, wait, let me back up one more thing. After you are done watching the DVD with them, you're going to want to have a conversation with the person to basically take their temperature to find out whether they are going to be a good prospect for you. And so it's during this time that you want to be looking out for their body language, for the sparkle in their eye, for if they're leaning back, you know, if they're doing this, or if they're leaning forward. All of these factors can help give you an overall temperature of the person. Now, the reason why this is important is because on a scale of 1 to 10, if a person has a temperature of 7 or higher, then I consider them a good prospect for this testing. But if they're lower than that, then generally, and this is in my assessment alone, based on the questions that you're going to be seeing me have with Jeannie, based on my assessment alone, I'm going to go one way or the other with them. I'm either going to teach them how to use the test equipment, or I'm going to suggest that they go back and do some more research, and you'll see how I handle this. But this is, at this point in time, this is your judgment call, and it's a very important call to make, because you can waste your time working with the wrong person, and this not only wastes your money, wastes their money, but it wastes your time. And so I can't reiterate enough the importance of you learning this valuable skill of how to screen out who is going to be good for you and who's not going to be good for you. Now, a little note of comfort is that if you think that this person is like a 6 or a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as their excitement and how well they've responded to this and how excited they are, etc., and you therefore decide that you're going to take the other route, which is to allow them to come back to you later if they want. If you chose wrong and they indeed want to come back to you later, or they want to learn more right now, they'll let you know they're wrong. Okay? But many times, in fact, if this is not a good fit for the person, this person is looking for a way to disengage. And so what you're providing that type of person is the opportunity to disengage with you. And it's all cool. It's all